Greece voted over the weekend to say no to the austerity measures. It's not unlike the Republican budget. You know, in fact, there are some startling parallels. The Republican budget, you know, slash Medicare, privatize the Social Security, cut Pell Grants, so fewer kids can go to college. I mean, the Republican budget is a massive austerity budget, and this is what Europe imposed on Greece, and it threw Greece into a depression. I mean, they're worse off right now than during the Great Depression, worse than we ever had it. And they know, how good it can be. They know having a society that works. And what happened here is that the idea of a monetary union, you know, let's let our corporations move across borders freely and all that, and we'll just all use the same currency to make it happen. Well, that's a great idea for big, strong countries like Germany and France, Belgium, Holland, you know, the Netherlands. But for a country like Greece that was just on the edge anyway, it was really a bad idea. They shouldn't have joined the EU in the first place, in my opinion. And in fact, you know, as Matt Taibbi has reported, and I'm just astonished that this is completely missing from any coverage anywhere, Greece never would have been able to join the European Union in the first place because their debt ratio was too high. Had not Goldman Sachs come in, as I recall from Taibbi's article, had not at least one of the big banksters, I'm pretty sure it was Goldman Sachs, come in and said, you know, okay, we'll buy that debt from you and it'll get off your books, and then we will sell that debt back to you or we'll take that debt from you, and now you're in debt to us, but we'll call it something other than debt. And so, you know, it was an accounting trick. And when Greece crashed, I mean, who got paid first? Goldman Sachs. And the money that's going to Greece, I mean, some of the money is going to fund the banks, but much of the money that's going to Greece is being used, you know, out of the European Central Bank. It's being used to pay off old loans and to pay off banksters with new loans. I mean, it's a Ponzi scheme that the European Union is imposing on Greece. Yeah, there are Greeks who don't pay their taxes, and yes, they had a good social welfare system. It's devastated now. And it would, you know, be a good thing, I think, if they tightened up their tax collections. But that's not what's driving this problem. What's driving this problem is that they don't have control over their own currency. It's the thing that conservatives miss when they rant about the U.S. budget deficit, for example. You know, oh, the budget deficit, it's good. Well, the budget deficit is denominated in dollars, and we control dollars. We control the value of dollars. If we want to pay off our debts with cheaper dollars, we can just devalue the value of the dollar. We've done that in our past. In fact, we routinely do it, you know, 1%, 2%, 3% a year. It's called inflation. But Greece doesn't have that option because they don't control their currency. So Alexis Tsipras, the prime minister of Greece, said after the vote, I'm paraphrasing from memory here, that people voted on the correct issue. This was not a referendum to pull out, to stop using the euro or pull out of the Eurozone. And he said, let's take that off the table. I don't think he's going to be able to. I personally think that Greece is going to have, I mean, here's how it'll probably play out. Assuming that the European Union, which is basically run by Germany, I mean, this whole EU thing is kind of Germany winning World War II. You know, they now control Europe. And for all practical purposes, or much of Europe. And so if they say, no, we're not going to give you any more money. We're not going to loan you any more money so you can pay off your debts to us. As weird as that sounds, if they say that, then and so the Greek banks don't have any money, so the Greek government has no money. They're going to have to, no euros anyway. They're going to have to start issuing IOUs, essentially script, which will become the de facto Greek currency. Now there is a middle ground. You don't have to just say no to the euro altogether. Look at what the United Kingdom has done. The United Kingdom, England, and countries, they still maintain the pound, the British pound, and you can use euros for transactions in the UK. Everybody takes both. Greece could do that. Roll out the drachma tomorrow, devalue it extraordinarily. And Greece, I think, is, of all the countries, maybe you could throw Spain into this category. Well, actually, maybe even Ireland and Portugal, but Greece in particular can come out of this thing more quickly than many countries that have a more diversified economic base. Greece is heavily dependent on tourism. And because of the unrest and because of the austerity and all this kind of stuff, tourism has been sagging in Greece. Well, if Greece were to leave the euro and go back to the drachma, they could devalue the drachma, say by half, and suddenly everything in Greece, if you're paying with dollars or euros or pretty much any other currency, relative to the drachma, would become worth twice as much. So if you wanted to go vacation in Greece, your hotel room would cost half as much as the normal price. You could stay at a 5-star hotel for $100 a night. You could take one of those Greek island cruises that are normally $6,000, $7,000 for the week, and you could do it for $3,000, or the $3,000 ones become $1,500. And I think that Greece will see, when they go to their own currency and they devalue it, the internal economy is not so much affected by devaluation, except for imports and exports. And it actually increases their exports, but Greece doesn't export that much. I mean, there's a limit to how much ouzo people want, but although it's really good stuff. But in any case, it helps their exports. It's going to make their imports more expensive. But that's a good thing, too, because what that does is it functions the same way as a tariff. When imports become more expensive, that encourages local manufacturing. So, people will start opening factories and things. They'll say, hey, the stuff from China is now really expensive because we've changed the value of our currency relative to the yuan. And so, let's manufacture this stuff here. We can make it here, cheaper than we can import it from China right now. And I would predict that within a couple of years, at the most, Greece will be back to having a vibrant economy and be a strong country. They just need to reclaim their currency. Now, the other piece of this is that we could find ourselves in the same situation Greece is in if we surrender our economic sovereignty anymore. We're already halfway down that road with NAFTA, GATT, the WTO, and all the, particularly, I was going to say permanent normal trade relations with China, but that doesn't have the enforcement mechanism that the WTO and the TPP will have, where we are answerable now, not to ourselves, but to a tribunal made up of corporate lawyers on the world stage.